Alright guys, welcome back to my YouTube. Today's gonna be a bit more of like a sit down talk video live from my car, because listen, it's sunny outside, such a nice day, and I don't know, I just feel comfortable in my car. I just feel at peace, and I don't know, it's like a safe space for me. So I did a post on Instagram probably a week ago about my journey with God, and just being obviously in the beginning of my journey with this. It's obviously has its challenge, and it's a bit, I feel like it's not really spoken much. It's a very touchy subject, even with like when you meet other people and just asking them if they believe in God. And I feel like sometimes I think a lot of people actually follow Jesus but doesn't really like speak about it. And you know me, if I'm about something, I love to help people, I love to talk about it. I'm an open book in that way. But that was the one thing this year when I started going to church in February that I wanted to keep for myself. I feel like for multiple reasons. I think one of them was I wanted to do that for myself. I share so much on social media that I wanted it to be something for me, with like no pressure, and yeah, just really feeling like this is something I'm doing for myself. The second one is I feel like obviously it's been spoken about a bit more this year and like recently, and just seeing people being more in faith. And I didn't want to come across as like, oh, like she's doing it just because everyone's posting about it, or like people are bringing it more, I guess becoming popular. And the third one, I think I was scared that I would go to church, try to like grow my relationship with God, and actually figure out that it's not for me, or I'm just not committed to it. And then I didn't want to be a failure, and that failure wouldn't be just on me, but would be on obviously on God. So I feel like it was more like pressure than just doing something for myself and being like, oh, I just stopped doing it because I wasn't into it. Like, so I decided to like obviously fast forward. I was like, I'm gonna share about it when I'm 100% ready, and when I'm fully committed to God. I have that relationship with Him, and through those months, obviously I'm far from being there. Still so new, but through those months of learning, going to church the best I can when I could, when I felt comfortable, and I realized that following Jesus is never like 100% thing. Sometimes you'll be very close to Him, sometimes you'll be driving away from Him. And even people who have a lot of faith and have that relationship with God sometimes get confused, or like are asking themselves like, man, is God is really real? So I think that moment that I decided to make that post, it was God telling me to share it. I just had that like feeling of like, okay, I think it's time for me to share my journey so far. And even though I'm not where I want to be, obviously it's always growth like anything else. Well, it was a way for me to obviously help people. This is what I love to do, obviously, on social media. And like, if it could get people to start growing in their faith and like help people to get closer to Him, well, that was the goal. And I got so much good response, so many like prayers and messages, and I love you guys for it. I feel like I've been so emotional in the last week, so I'll try not to cry, which is not starting well. But I think I want to share just more like in the YouTube video for anyone who is interested, kind of like, if you're new to it, like obviously that journey, how did I get into it, or like what was my steps? Because at first I was like, okay, where do I go from there? The Bible is so complicated that I literally read one chapter at the beginning. It was John, and I did not understand anything. And I started reading I didn't open it yet. again up until a week ago. And this is the first time I'm reading the Bible. So, and I know some people believe in God, obviously, and like doesn't even go to church. So it really up to you, and everyone's journey is different. Like you have to find obviously your church. You have to find your people. Obviously, getting closer to like God. It's also getting closer to people who brings you closer to God or help you with your faith. So, I started going to church because one of my old client, and I think God put that person in my life to get closer to him. And I obviously grew a friendship from there, but she encouraged me to come to church for the first time with her, and then I started obviously trying to like go on my own and break that like fear and barrier of like a new environment. It's the same thing when you go to a new gym, and like you're new and you don't know what you're doing, and everyone like around you knows what they're doing, and you get very intimidated. Well, that was me with church, and it's still, I feel like the singing part for me, it's hard to like, I don't know, I get really shy. When I'm a shy person, when I'm around and I'm like, I have to like express myself, I'm like very shy. I'm like always in my head, like what people are gonna think of me, like if I put my hands up or like, and it's okay, you don't have to, you can be very to yourself. Just being there, it's like a first step. But obviously everyone says like going to church, getting in that space where like that community is very strong, and you get that sense of like you're there with everyone. But nowadays we're really lucky. Obviously we have social media, we have YouTube. So I started at first watching sermon from pastor online. Two of them that was really helpful for me to like understand, because you're gonna go to some churches, it's gonna be really hard to understand because they're gonna have that biblical way of like explaining. For me, I need someone, especially being foreign French, my first language, I needed someone to explain the Bible and verses, and like in a way that like I could put in my day-to-day life. Steven Furtick is obviously one of the best pastor at the moment. He's very, very good with that. So any sermon from Elevation Church is amazing. You can check it out. I'm gonna put all the link of like the podcast, the pastor. Then there's Mike Todd from Transformation Church, amazing as well. I think he's the first one I actually started listening to, and kind of like it gave me a lot of like understanding and like realizations. I was like, okay. And so I'll put him in there too. And then I started reading books that helped me to have a couple, like one for you guys. So I got the one from Mike Todd actually, that is Damaged but Not Destroyed. And there's like places where you can like write stuff, which is very cool and very helpful. So that was a cool one. It talks a lot about like trauma and like yeah. I read The Bait of Satan, which is a really good one as well. Someone recommended to me. I like highlighted stuff. Take notes when you read. Just like take a lot of notes. Try to like question some stuff. Like don't even just like through it, like read it as a book, but just try to like question yourself. The more you question yourself, obviously the more understanding you'll get. And then this one, I literally went through this book in 2 days. When we drove to the Arnold, I read half on my way there, half on my way back. And this is called The Ruthless Elimination of Uri. I'll put it there. So, very, very good book. Highly recommended. And then I'm just starting this one, but apparently it's a very good one. Battlefield of the Mind. So I'm gonna start this one up, and I'm gonna keep posting about it on my Instagram, letting you know how I like it. But I read 2 pages and I know I'm already gonna love it. So these are kind of like the places I started with, and then I started also listening to podcasts. So you just gotta find the podcast that you like. Obviously, like some people are gonna resonate better with you. I love the 2 Girls Gone Bible. and they're actually pretty new in their faith too, and then their relationship with Jesus. So I think listening to podcasts for me that are kind of like at the same, well, not at the same level, but more new in their journey, I think it's easier for me to like on like knowing I'm like on the same page, and just I feel like they're learning as they go, so help me learn as I go as well. And then they're asking a lot of questions. Another one is let me George Janko, and I'll put all in the description too. He's really good, and he used to have a podcast that wasn't about like faith in Jesus, and now he can like fully switch, and I just love him. He's just like so blunt. He's asking questions like that probably a lot of us like are asking that are not willing to ask, and it just gives like a different perspective. He doesn't have, it's not hard for him to like say if he's wrong or like, so yeah, I like him a lot. He did an episode with Cliff, and a very good way, he has a very good way, Cliff and his son has a very good way to explain like the Bible, and like a lot of questions that you're kind of like how do I even believe in Jesus, like if I can see him. So all those questions he's answering in a good way that you can understand, especially as like someone who like just like in the beginning of their journey. But I started going to church, I think it was just like, usually I feel like God finds people when they need it the most or at their lowest, and that was the thing for me. Last year I was in a very bad place, so like even if I have very good people around me, obviously I have a great circle, I have great friends that I can trust, but there was a moment last year that no matter who was around me, even my parents, I literally couldn't get myself to like talk to them. I just felt like so lonely. So I think that year is when I started like listening to like Mike Todd and stuff. It wasn't never like I thought of like, oh, I need Jesus in my life, I need God, or like I need to go to church. It was more like, okay, that helps me with my emotion and everything else and understanding stuff. So 2023 being of this year, starting prep, I was like, okay, like I never want to go back to a place I was last year, and I really need like someone I know can be with me 24/7 every single day, that I can turn to, I can talk to, and literally there's no one else than Jesus. So that's when I was like, okay, I need God in my life. I'm gonna commit to that. And all through prep, it was really helpful. It was a really hard prep, and like a lot of time I would just sit back and be like, okay, you know, like breathe and recenter myself and be like, God's with me, I can do anything. And I just need to be patient with the people, and ultimately following God is really just being more like him, like passionate, like compassionate, patient, loving, calm, kind. So it just like every time you need to like go back to those feelings when you like feel certain type of way, and like, okay, no, like what would God do, and just trying to be more like him. And I think through prep and everything, I was like a very different person than what I aspire to be. I always want to be kind to people, I want to talk to people, I want to be there. I love like talking, helping. So I would find myself in a preliminary being like, and like I want to be that joyful person that like if I go somewhere, people want to come to me because they see I'm happy, they see like that through me. So end of prep, I could see myself deviating so much from that. I would come to gym, not talk to anyone, very bit different in who I am. And I think that helped me so much making that decision of not competing and stepping away from competing, because I'm like, this is everything I don't want to be as a person. And even with my parents, I couldn't fully be in the moment, I couldn't be joyful with them fully, because I was always in my head. There was so many concerns, so many doubts, so many fear all the time, and I was like, no, like this is competing served me a purpose for a long time, but right now this is not my purpose, and I need to step away from that, at least for now. And it brought me so much peace and understanding, and just having faith that like this was the decision I had to make, and this is because something else is greater, something else is coming. And maybe that was just to like help me heal myself, because in the past week and a half, so I decided to like, let's say like, I'll put it in the situation. So 2 weeks and a half ago I went to Texas, had a great weekend, came back, week was fine, and then just so many things happened during that week, like situation, things in my life, and I'm a very emotional person, and I act out of emotion a lot, and that really self-destruct myself. It's very self-destructive for me. And when I get to those places, so happen on, let's say on the Friday, and then all weekend I was home, in my room, not really like, I did cardio, but then I would come back, I took off the gym, and I just ate a lot of food. Not always like bad food, but just like a lot of food, and like a lot, obviously, yeah, chocolate and stuff. I'm a sweet tooth person. And I would just like put myself away, just like in my bubble, not going, I didn't even like really go out, just watch TV the whole weekend. And then on Monday my body was so uncomfortable, gained a lot of weight, a lot of retention from obviously eating, not moving much. And then it put me back to a place that like now, even now, 2.5 weeks after, I'm still in that fighting place of like bringing back my body where it was. But the biggest toll it took on me is like, it's mentally. And I feel like for the past 10 years I've focused on just that physical part of me. Like I've obviously grew like mentally through the year, but back to now, I still see like I'm working on it, but then there's still part of me is so broken, and I'm like, how can I be so broken still? You know what I mean? It's just like very confusing. So like a week and a half ago, I'm like, okay, this needs to stop. I'm gonna wake up at 6 a.m. every morning. I'm gonna go to cardio, come back home and read my Bible for at least 30 minutes every day. I need to make sure I read like God's word every single morning and lead my day with them. And it's been great. It's been like I mean, it's been like 3 days now, technically. 5-6 days I've been reading the Bible. And I went to a coffee shop with my friend to, she helped me to like show me, we did like a Bible study, show me how to like actually read the Bible, study it. There's an app, so I'm gonna show you guys after the Bible that I got. Amazing, like easier to read. There's also like explanation, like pages, but there's also an app that I'm gonna show you guys that you can refer to when you don't understand a verse, and they really like broke it down for you, which has been so cool. And now I'm like, I'm actually obsessed to like read the Bible and like literally studying it, which is what it should be, and just getting like more understanding and like but yeah, I had to be like, okay, I need to like read my Bible, like read the God of Word every single day. And I need to heal myself. And I put a lot of pressure on like always obviously trying to like keep up with social media and like post things, but I never put that much effort into healing myself. So I'm sorry if I've been a bit more kind of like low-key distance with like social media content in like, I still post a lot, but not as much as like workouts and like my shape and stuff. And it's just because I do sometimes I needed to take a step back right now, and just really like understand where, when I get to those places, what it's coming from, and like how to heal that, and like work on myself. And I'm doing good, like I'm like, but it is something I always wanted to work on and like heal and figure out, and I think I'm at that place now. So It's been great, but I'm happy I'm doing it, and I know that it's going to be so beneficial in the future. But um, I'm also going to put a YouTube video on here because, like I said, emotions for me are very like self-destructive. So I was on my way to um, an appointment. I like step upon or whatever. I found a YouTube video, like a sermon from a woman preacher, and it was talking about emotion. So I started listening to it, literally bawled my eyes out, and it was a good thing. But it really just like explain how like you have to feel your emotion, and like emotion are meant to like be shared with other people. So I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna put the link in the description to this video. Gave me a lot of clarity, and like just how me I thought it was an amazing video, one of the best one I've like listened so far. But if you're someone who's like having a hard time with like dealing with emotion, definitely go check it out. But yeah, I think that's kind of where my journey is at now. Just like now I'm able to take the step, and again, it's a journey. It's like everything else. Building a physique is not made in a week or two. It's year over the year. So don't put too much pressure if you're wanting to take that leap and like that step. Don't put pressure on like, oh, you should be like feeling good right away or like understanding everything. But it's been almost a year now. I'm just starting to like put a lot more effort into reading the Bible, understanding it, and like praying a bit more, because I think praying for me was one of the not the weirdest thing. I feel like I've done it so many times. If I look at my past, in prep I used to talk to myself in my car so much. I'm like, man, I was probably talking to God without realizing it. But I would talk out loud like I had a friend with me. And now I feel like the more I think about it, like if I want to pray, but then I think about it, then it's like it's so hard for me to just talk out loud. But before, because I wasn't like putting that in my head, I would just do it naturally. So I think that was the hardest thing for me, is like to actually pray and not feel uncomfortable. And I'm like, how do I pray? Do I need to be so proper? Or do I need to like pray a certain way? Or like, and I'm like, okay, if I write it on paper, does it count? If I say in my head, does it count? And yes, it counts. As long as you're like in your heart, you're like connecting with him and just like just sharing like how you feel, and like there's no good or bad ways to do it. But I'm just trying to like daily like just putting out there and like praying more, and connecting with him and myself. And yeah, so it's been great. Sorry, it was a little bit long, but I just wanted to show a little bit what it's been doing for me, and especially lately, and kind of like how did I go from at the beginning, because it is a bit overwhelming. But yeah, again, this is something you have to choose for yourself. You don't need to go to church every single day. You don't, like, if it's not your path. But I think everyone should be trying to grow in their faith, and if you do want to take that step, good for you. I think it's one of the best things you can do. There is nothing bad that can come from trying to follow God, or even just growing your faith. Just good can come out of it, and it can heal a lot of your problem and a lot of things you're going through. And I say that firsthand. I've seen it, and there's just so many testimony out there that I'm like, if there's a story about a guy who he was in prison and came out and started following Jesus, and he became a preacher. So if you're gonna go from prison to become a preacher, I think I can go out of some emotional food addiction, because at the end of the day it is an addiction. So I'm very hopeful, and yeah, it's been healing. Even when I made that post, when I started seeing so many people come and everything, it was so healing for me and like eye-opening, because I was like, okay, like it was a step I needed to take for my journey. But also I think that I just knew that like that addiction and that place, if I go back to that place like with my physique and body wise, and it's just not about like physical aspect, but just if I go back there, it's like how I feel when I go to that place. It affects everything in my life. And if I'm not able to learn from the past and learn from it and like go and change and be better, God's never gonna give me what I'm meant to, or God is never gonna give me what He has planned for me to do if He sees that I'm not able to handle it, pretty much. So for me to be able to get to the next chapter of my life and trying to like grow into something else, someone else, or just future plans, I need to show that I'm ready for those steps. So yeah, it's just a big realization for me. But this is the Bible that I got. This is pretty big, don't be intimidated by it, but I just love how, I'm gonna link it because I don't remember I got it. It's called She Reads the Truth, from Alman, okay, I'll just, Amanda Bible Williams, Rachel Myers. Anyway, I'm gonna put it on the description. But such a good Bible. And the app is called, I'm gonna show you guys now, Enduring Words. So it looks like this, and you can go like any chapter, like I can do like John chapter 14, and then they're really gonna describe everything. Yeah, so very cool app. But yeah, I really hope that this video was helpful for any of you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. But yeah, I love you guys from the bottom of my heart, and yeah, see you next time.